We are in the studio today instead of live. We didn't get a chance to get out to Colorado. I am in the studio with John Tiegen. John Tiegen is a former Marine. He is a co-author or contributor to the movie 13 Hours. And more than that, I mean, he lived the 13 hours. Y'all remember the Benghazi debacle from many years ago? Well, John was one of those that survived, and he's got a story to tell. John, thanks for joining me today, my friend. Welcome.
No, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, the focus of this documentary is a diary of a pissed off American soldier. Finish this fight, and I told you a little bit about what happened to me just before we got on air. There was a moment in my life in 2017 where I came home from a jail cell after being held for 73 days without any evidence against me. Took them 3 years to dismiss the charge with prejudice. But when I got home, I'd lost my home, my car, 80% of my life insurance business, and caught an infection in that jail cell. The night after I got home, went into my right eye and destroyed my cornea. Up to that point, as a Desert Storm veteran, I was a 13 Echo. I was raining down 220-pound rounds out of 8-inch artillery back in that day. But I'd always thought my government loved me. I mean, they cared. They had my best interest at heart. And when that happened, I realized, man, this is not the country I fought for. And I began to dig deep and find out a whole lot more than I ever wanted to know. But at that point, I woke up as a pissed off American soldier. Um, let's talk to you a little bit. Tell me about your background and when did that happen for you?
Well, I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. Like a lot of vets, usually they jump out right out of high school, except for 9/11. A lot of people joined right after 9/11, regardless if they're in high school or in college or whatever. But did that for 4 years, then went into heating and air conditioning for a while. Didn't really good money, but man, it's hard work. Didn't really care for crawling underneath houses and stuff, especially here in Colorado. But then we started contracting in 2003, and then obviously then the Benghazi incident happened in 9/11 2012, which is actually coming up. Another anniversary coming up. Well, not really an anniversary, but a remembrance, I should say. You know, yeah, and that's kind of when everybody knows about that incident for the most part. But involving a lot of other stuff, but that's one of the bigger ones. So
Could you recap that in case people are a little bit confused? There's been a lot of incidents.
so 9/11 2012, U.S. Ambassador Stevens came, and he was supposed to be there for a few days. He came in on the 10th, and we got attacked. They got attacked on the 11th. We weren't part of their team. We were separate. I was with the CIA at the time. We got the phone call that they'd been overrun. We went over there and rescued the 5 security guys. Unfortunately, Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith, he was the
Yeah.
radio operator guy. He had passed. They had both died of smoke inhalation. But we got those guys, brought them back to our compound, and trying to really sum this up because it takes a while to talk about it.
No worries. Go ahead.
But then we got attacked 3 times at our compound, and the last attack is what killed Roan and Bub, which were 2 Navy SEALs. And in a few hours later, actually, it was a Gaddafi's army that came and got us and escorted us to the airport, which allowed us to get out of Benghazi.
Okay. I'm not going to get into the politics. I don't want to get into the politics of all that, but obviously there was something at that point. You had to think this is jacked up.
I mean, there was, but you're not thinking. You're just waiting for support to come. You're not like what's going on, what's holding it up. You just got to stay. You're just focused on the fight, honestly.
In the zone.
In the back of your mind, you're like, dude, where's everybody at? Why isn't nobody coming? It wasn't really for us. It was the fact that a U.S. ambassador was missing for I want to say like 6 hours. Nobody knew where he was. They didn't know if he was live or dead. Nobody had a clue. So you would think they would want to try to send people to rescue them. And the fact that it was actually the State Department. Again, we were pretty much collateral damage for the most part because that's what our job is. But nothing came, and a lot of people want to blame Hillary and all that. Again, to the political part, The initial assault and the why the assault happened is on her.
Yeah.
That State Department got attacked twice prior, and they still had lack of security, lack of protection. They're always requesting it, and the whole thing about Lamb losing the paperwork on her desk because her desk was messy, that's asinine.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I mean, she got promoted, so nobody's held accountable. She should have been fired and relieved of duty, and pretty much just any kind of retirement should have been cut, in my opinion. I mean, 2 people died because of her incompetence. But after that, it was actually, I know people don't like it. They're not going to like what I say, but I still say it because it's the truth. It was actually the CIA is the reason why no help came. It was because our team leader and Bob, so Hush and Bob, stopped reporting we're being attacked. So that's why everybody got turned around, because everybody thought it was done. Because the drone that was overhead watching us, well, wasn't really watching our compound in our initial area. We had them spread out just in case, more like towards the consulate, to kind of make sure they weren't moving towards us. So they were watching that big group mainly, not really us at all. So nobody knew back home we were being attacked. So,
wow. I know whenever you're in a battle, and I remember I've never been in that close of a battle, but we had a few skirmishes that you're just in your zone. You're not thinking about all this other stuff. But as you reflect back, that's some pretty deep stuff that you just said, that this woman, Hillary, should have been fired immediately and all retirement gone. But that same kind of thing is still happening today.
yeah,
I mean, there was an attack on our president just a few weeks ago that was the most jacked up thing I think I've seen this year. And there's been some crazy jacked up stuff in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think the Boy Scouts could have set up security better than they did.
100%.
And, you know, also the fact that they had this guy was suspicious, kept seeing the kid, but yet they let the president walk on stage after they lost sight of him. Like, okay, let's just wait. Let's find this guy's. You know, people want to say, I mean, I don't think it was a complete setup, but I think they allowed it to happen.
I agree.
That's
and you know what? They can label me as a conspiracy theorist. I don't give a crap anymore, dude. I just don't care. There's something there. 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's something else going on.
And then they said, well, they left it up to the local law enforcement to cover that roof, but they never told them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? You also said something that goes in a little bit deeper too, and talking about the CIA being the reason that y'all were just left. And we're seeing a lot in the last, I don't know, 7 years or so. And again, not getting really political, but one of the things that Trump did and did well was expose the corruption in DC. And the alphabet organizations, man, there's a problem there. FBI, CIA, DOJ, all those things. What's your take on that? Am I crazy?
No, I mean, just even the assassination of JFK himself. I mean, you know, the CIA is not supposed to be really operating on U.S. soil, but yet they know they do. They operate right across the border. You know, they helped funnel the drugs into our country. And how do you gain control of that? I mean, I don't know, but they are so freaking corrupt, and they try to sit there and say they're doing the right thing, but they never have. I mean,
right.
All these countries that they try to really, you know, interfere with the election. When we talk about, you know, we complain about Russia and all, we interfere with everybody's election too. It is what it is. Unfortunately, we just got to be able to control it as much as we can. But using machines ain't going to help. You know, but getting control of these people, it'll probably never ever happen unless you just get rid of the organizations altogether. Unfortunately, I mean, the agencies, each one does do good. They, you know, like going after hunting the terrorists and stuff like that. That's why I like the job that I was doing. But again, until you can actually 100% control what they're doing and how they're doing it, they're just going to run amok. You know, power just corrupts. That's really what it is.
Absolutely. And there's no 100% corruption here on this earth. There's no 100% good either. There are areas and levels of gray, but we're seeing more and more of the corruption that's actually been hidden from us. That's the things that I'm pointing out, and it's not scary to me, but it gives us a target. It gives us a mission and what we need to shoot for. And my personal opinion, and I think the area or the direction that this documentary is going, is the only way we're going to turn this thing around is if we come together. Secondarily, we're going to be doing a show called Building This Brigade. And my goal is to bring people like you and people like me and those that are fighting. Maybe they got something great going on over here. They're kind of alone. They got another one, something great going over here. Let's umbrella us. Let's put us together. You still got your own mission, but we're building a brigade where we can support each other.
Yeah,
And I think that's the only answer.
Well, I mean, I think the J6 one kind of opened a lot of eyes, but it also scared a lot of people. After January 6th, when the federal government started clamping down, a lot of these like Oath Keepers, 3%ers disappeared. They're gone. I mean, they're completely underground. You can't do. I'm sorry, but you can't do that. You can't go.
Yeah.
You have to stay out. Because I started an organization called UADF, United American Defense Force. We're still public. We still go out and do things. But the same thing. I mean, I had several thousand members after J6. Again, people got. They became freaking pussies, and they ran.
Yeah.
And they did. Like, well, I can't be labeled this. I can't be labeled that. I really don't care what they label me. I really freaking don't. Because we got to stand up for our country. We got to protect our neighborhoods. We had, people like Walls, the potential VP letting his own damn freaking state burn down while he freaking hides out.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, if we want to protect our country, we got to come together. We are the militia. We are the defenders of this nation. The government is not. The government is just supposed to make sure that we're safe from outside threat, not internal threats. Right now, we got a major internal threat, and people are scared to do anything because they don't want to lose what they have. But our founders, literally, they gave up everything. I think only 6 came out decent.
Oh yeah.
So that's where freedom isn't free. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from the bloodshed. It literally comes from you losing everything to maintain your freedom. It's not the freedom of that vet going over there and being killed in Afghanistan. It's the freedom that you lose here. It's losing everything that you have to maintain our freedom.
Right.
6 people are the prime example. I mean, that's a persecution. They're political prisoners in my mind. There's some that are idiots. There's some that did destruction. There's some that did break into Nancy Pelosi's office, try to steal her computer. But again, the majority of them that are in prison walked in to open doors.
Oh yeah, they were ushered in.
You have the inside actors. It's been proven the FBI was involved, and they had well over 200 actors, dressed up as Antifa. I mean, people that are wearing masks and stuff like that, I don't see them as being conservatives. I really don't. So those ones that are dressed up all in black, they're destroying things, had their fake Make America Great red hats on top of their balaclavas and stuff like that. They weren't Trump support. They weren't conservatives. They're freaking Antifa douchebags, BLM.
No, I agree with you. If we've got to cover our face, more than likely we're not doing good.
No, you're not there for any good.
Well, you said something, freedom isn't free. I get a chance to go around this country, not nearly as much as you, I'm sure, but I get to talk about freedom. And one of the things that I tell people is freedom is not only not free, but it's not cheap either.
Nope.
There is a price that has to be paid. And we're in a position in history right now, man, freedom was easy my whole life.
Oh, yeah.
I was born in 1967. I'm probably several years older than you. But freedom was simple, man. When we were kids, pardon me?
9 years.
Okay, so yeah, close to a decade.
Hold on, I'm using public math. I
Oh,
was born in
Common
76,
Core?
so yeah, 9 years. Wait, no. Anyway, see, there goes that math. Yeah, 9 years. Give me Christmas.
Well, you'll remember this too. Yeah, you'll remember this too because you grew up in the 90s in your teenage years and later on. We had it great. And, the cliches are we played out in the street until the lights came on and we drank from a water hose. And you never heard of anybody getting kidnapped and raped and abused as a kid. You never heard of anybody getting shot at school. It was just easy. And our freedom had been paid for many, many times through the years prior to that. The problem is we became complacent as a society. And there's a very small percentage in the last many years that weren't complacent. And normally I have found it's people that's gone through some kind of hell, kind of like you, kind of like me, kind of like several others that went, what's going on? Well, this is not what I thought it was. And so our eyes were open. I'm going to say we became aware. And now that's spreading. There's people starting to wake up more and more. What are your words to folks about where we're at as a country right now, and what's the solution in your opinion?
uh, it's well, we're definitely in some hard times. You know, I don't know exactly the wording how it goes, but it's, like hard times made breeds hard men and all that other stuff. Then you got the weak
Yeah.
generation. We're definitely in the weak side of it.
Mhm.
The major corrupt side, majorly corrupt. I think back in the 60s when they actually started pushing, really shoving religion out of things. I think that's
Mhm.
when we started downfalling, because even our founding fathers said, this country is designed for religious people,
Right.
morally right people. Well, where do
Mhm.
you get your morals from if you have nothing to hold yourself accountable against? Which that's what the Ten Commandments was, and the Bible is a moral
Right.
guide. Once we threw that out, our country's been going downhill constantly, and we got more corruption. We got career politicians, where back in the day, you didn't have politicians that started in their 20s and left in their 80s.
Yeah.
They just stayed
Yeah.
a short time and they moved on.
Can I
Now,
ping pong something back at you right there real quick? I don't mean to interrupt your flow,
oh, you're fine.
but you said something about in the 60s and we started pushing God and religion away from our society. I would have never believed this 8 years ago. Would have never believed this. This is my personal opinion. Don't know that it's yours. Do you believe that there is an agenda that was started prior to that and a plan for that to take place, or do you think it just naturally happened?
No, I think there was a plan. I think there's a lot of videos of even communists that were coming out saying that their plan is to slowly infiltrate our country and push our beliefs out. And I mean, you're seeing it. We're
Mhm.
our society. I mean, look at what they're doing. Even with, like, they don't want you to say Merry Christmas. They don't want to say God bless. They want to take, obviously, God hasn't been on our currency the whole entire time, but they want to take um, uh, what was it, God we trust
Right.
off your money and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's just that stuff they want. If you can dilute the society, that it's you then you have no real country. Kind of like they're flooding all these illegals,
Yeah.
which is, why is the housing prices going up? Well, nobody has anywhere to live because you just got an influx of freaking 80 million freaking people into your country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't build enough houses. So that's going to raise everything up. But then they're going to allow them to vote. So you never have your country, because they're going to vote how they think from their own country. You're supposed to we accept pretty much anybody and everybody, but you come in and you conform to our way of life. And
Right.
you're leaving your old life, coming to our life. It's our country. It's that, because if you don't have pride in your nation, you don't have a nation. And that's what we're
Right.
seeing a lot of. I mean, you got what school kids being told you can't fly American flags. You can't have
Hmm.
an American flag in your school. You can't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, when you start losing that, again, you start losing the loyalty to the country that gave you everything that you got. So
Right.
that, and again, I think it started back then, and just then you have the left, which is doing a lot of the teaching to our kids, so they're being more indoctrinated and not being taught. Because a lot of things that these kids now are saying, well, I wasn't taught about this, about slavery, about this. Like, how did you not? Like, what are you being taught? Like, I know about slavery. I knew, what we did with the Indians. But again, I'm not going to cry about our past. It is what it
Right.
is. Not
Right.
everybody was this whole peaceful prayer, like how they do with the Indians, like how wise and peaceful. Hell no, those dudes were brutal too.
Yeah.
They would do it. I mean, they would smack babies. I mean, they were just as brutal as any other society that's out there.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
not going to I don't apologize for our past. You just don't repeat our past.
Exactly. You can't learn from it if you can't remember it.
So I don't know what they're teaching kids nowadays. I know my kids, I still talk to them about it. They're 12, almost 13. Um, but I think it did start in the 60s, and we were just being infiltrated. It's the Muslim Brotherhood. They're the same way. They infiltrate and they take their time. They don't do things fast. It's nice and slow. Like, we're being destroyed. Reagan said, we can't be destroyed from the outside. We'll be destroyed from within. And
Yeah.
we are being destroyed from within.
What's so frustrating to me along that line is we actually have things we could look at right now and see how bad it is. Look at France. You know, look at Greece, look at all these, and look at Switzerland, look at all these places that opened their borders up, said, "Come on in, refugees, let's go, come on, come on." Now they're outnumbered, and
So
some of it nearly completely outnumbered, 70-30 along that line, and they have no control over their country. It's just being taken over. That's what's happening here. It's done on purpose. John, how diabolical is it that somebody 60, 70 years ago said, "You know what? Let's destroy what's been created here. And we're gonna take a long time to get it done." And then they made that plan, and people came on board. It's almost like a dadgum James Bond movie. We got villains that are that diabolical.
yeah.
What do we do, man? How do we fix this?
Blood. We got to shake the tree. Honestly, I think we're beyond repair by the pen. You know, Trump. You know, if he gets I think he'll get elected if it doesn't get stolen again.
Right.
But he can't fix it. He's just going to
No.
delay the inevitable. I mean, hopefully he can get a lot of the trash out. But in my mind, if he doesn't get rid of like what I think is like every department in our federal government, fire the 10, every department head and every 10 people below them. So that includes the CIA and every department underneath them, the 10. I mean, you're going to fire thousands of people. I really don't care. You want to flush the system? That's how you flush the system.
Yeah.
Get rid of those minds that know this, know that. Got same with our politicians that have been in, like Nancy Pelosi for 80 years. Flush that crap out. Until we do that, our country's never going to be the same, and it's going to, we'll never be morally correct or, I don't even know how to even say it, but will not correct itself. We'll be in a just. I'd rather have it happen now than when my kids get older. I'm not here and they have to deal with it.
Well, again, what we said is freedom isn't cheap, and we're going to have to pay a price right now. And that price is being willing to risk losing everything, including your life.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't, we're going to pay a hell of a price not too far in the future because we're going to lose it completely. It's going to be gone. We still have a resemblance of freedom right now, even though it's not complete. I mean, when we can be jerked off of Facebook or YouTube or they can twist. Well, you got 6 companies that know 94% of the media. So,
but again, I mean, if you think, I don't think we're free at all. Honestly, I think because almost if you get any kind of interaction with law enforcement, if they really wanted to, they can take you down for something, no matter what. Every time you walk out of your house, you're committing a crime. In some ways, because there's so many laws. I mean, again, you can't even go fishing without a fishing license. You can't even go out of the forest without a permit.
Yeah.
You pay taxes on taxes that you pay taxes on. So again, you own your house, you never own it because you always got to pay taxes on it. Same with your vehicle, and you're always paying taxes. The only thing you don't really pay taxes on technically is like the stuff inside your home.
Right.
Anything else outside, you're always paying for it. You're not free. You walk, it's just, I don't know, we got too many laws, too many regulations. If you misgender somebody in California, you go to jail. So we're not in a free country no more because of all this asinine stuff that's going on. I mean,
well, even the air we breathe is not free. They tax it. It's called a carbon tax credit.
So
it's unbelievable. You can't collect rainwater. That's bypassing the system. So, you know what? It makes me sad because I just mouthed off without thinking, but I think you're more right than I am. Not as free as I would hope, and not as free as I remember. And I want that for my son, for my daughter, for my grandson. I want that for my people.
Yep.
Truthfully, John, I believe the only way that it's going to happen is if we come together. And it's not just people that think exactly like us. We've got to have people that don't think like us that say, hey, you know what? We were the United States of America. We're the divided states now. Yeah. And if we're divided, they can do whatever the crap they want to do.
And they are. I mean, you can look at it. They are doing whatever they want. Them coming down and saying, Trump, is stomping on, women's rights. Trump didn't do a damn thing. The Supreme Court did it, but they gave more rights to women across our nation for each state to decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
That our country is not based on the federal government controlling our lives. They're based on the federal government to protect our lives and it's individual states that kind of gives us the more power. But the more power we give to our government, just like on during COVID, when they said, well, we're going to take this from you, we're going to take that from you to keep you safe. Go to hell. You ain't taking nothing from me. I don't need you to keep me safe. I'll do what I need to do to keep myself safe. You protect us from the borders, from outside threats, and I'll protect myself from inside threats. That's what you got the local government for, not the federal.
Right.
So again, we're being infringed on so freaking much. Even our Second Amendment rights. Look at all the infringements they're trying to do. I really care about them banning accessories and stuff like that, like the bump stock. I really don't care.
Right.
But if they actually want to ban the gun itself, no, then I got a problem with it.
Yep.
Accessories are accessories. Sometimes I don't think people should probably have a grenade launcher attached to their rifle. But again, I really don't. If they have it, I really don't care.
Right.
But the federal, it literally says, all the founding fathers has nothing to do with hunting. It has to do with us being able to defend ourselves against our own government. That's why they put it in there. That's why I said, "Then shall not infringe." But the Democrats, they just want to keep banning and banning and banning. Why? Because they want to take control. They want look what's going on overseas right now. With they took their guns. Now they got nothing but illegals taking over. They're being arrested for comments on Facebook.
Right.
So again, you give up your freedoms for safety, you're done. You're over. I mean, you definitely don't have freedom at all. So the more rights they take away, you're losing it. Driving is more of a privilege, but you got more rights driving than you do owning a firearm. More people are killed in vehicles, but there's less restriction on vehicles.
Oh, many hundreds of percentages more. Many.
You got people driving around with no freaking plates on their car, complete blacked out vehicles, and you're like, and here I am. I pay $500, $600 for tags a year for my vehicle, but then you got these bags over here. Okay, so why can't I have a suppressor without you getting a tax stamp if you don't care about this one over here?
Right.
So it's asinine. They just enforce what they want to enforce, not really what's correct.
Ideologies, baby. Yep. And don't get it twisted. It's easy to point at the Democrats because they're the tip of that spear on all this Second Amendment trying to infringe and that kind of thing. But man, we got a lot of Republicans that are just bought and paid for and undercover, not doing a dadgum thing to help us.
Yeah. A lot of them. I mean, even there's quite a few rhino Republicans that are again not doing the right thing. It's like they have the initial right when they go into office, but it seems like they jump on that gravy train of the greenback, and that's it.
John, I'm going to go a little deeper on that one real quick, and I don't know if we want to chase this rabbit or not. Probably not, but I think there's a lot that go in with good intentions. But one of many things happens. Number one, either they see the money, like you just said, and it's like changes them. I would like to think not nearly as many are in that instance as number two, they get approached and blackmailed. And there's a lot of ways to do that with AI. There's a lot of ways to do that with drugs at a party. There's a lot of ways to do that where you can be set up and, hey, if you don't follow us, if you don't do what we tell you, we're gonna destroy you. I think it even goes deeper than that. I think it could be to the point that if you don't do what we tell you to do, somebody in your family going to die. I think it's that deep, John. I really do. And it sounds crazy to people if they're not that far into what I've studied, but I think it's really that deep. And that's a challenge, brother. How do we stop that? I think the only way is to put people in place to hold people accountable. We may need to hire a protection security detail for all these people going in and help hold them accountable and keep them safe.
Yeah, I do believe that they do that stuff. What was that one dude in the wheelchair? That's what they kind of did to him. Again, I think they do blackmail. When they find something on you, you're done. Bulbert, kind of the same thing up here in Colorado. I mean, she's just like, go to hell.
And I'm proud of her for that because she did screw up. She did. She was being silly, but.
And I really don't care what she does in her private life.
I don't either. No.
I don't care what anybody really does in their private life. They got to have a life. I mean, they are freaking human beings.
Yeah.
No, even if she wants to say, I don't know if she's Christian. I really don't know. But again, that's between her and the Almighty. I really do not care. As long as she does what she's supposed to be doing, what we put her in office to do, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Isn't, I don't know, man. They say there were kids around. I don't know. I saw the video. I didn't really see a whole lot of kids around. There are adults in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Why are you sitting there watching? Maybe they say they're being loud or something, but at least she's just kind of like, I really don't care. Go to hell. That's what you need politicians to be like, okay, go ahead, go do it.
Yeah.
I am who I am. I'm not going to change who I am just because you elect me. Doesn't mean
Right.
I become a saint.
Right.
I'm still a freaking human being. I still got a private life. I still, I got to separate the two. I mean, you have to separate the two. Like same with Trump. What he does behind his closed doors, that's on him and between him and, his family and God. I really don't care. Honestly, I'm going to say it. If he's having freaking orgies back in his home every damn day, I don't care.
Right. Right.
Fix our country. Do what's
Mhm.
right there. Whatever. What you do at home, that's on you, man.
Well, Bobart showed more cojones than most people in the office right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take that. Brother, have you got any last words? Anything you'd like to say to inspire some people to just say, hey, come on, let's join this fight?
Well, I think joining the fight, people got to know what they're fighting for and what the target is. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, okay, I joined, but then what? What do we now? What do we do? Where do we go? How do we do it? And I think that's the biggest problem. Is
how can they join your organization? And tell them a little bit about what you do and how can they join you if they decide they want to help?
Well, the website's kind of screwed up right now, but it's you can look it up. Again, it's all messed up. I'm kind of redoing a lot of things, but it's unitedadf.com is what it is. But I started it during the COVID crap because a lot of people, again, they didn't know how to protect their community and their neighborhoods. So it's not a militia, even though we're deemed a militia because, we go out armed. Well, who else was going out armed and actually killing people? BLM and Antifa.
Yeah.
So protect ourselves, but that's really what it is. It's just so you have a like you're saying, like-minded people that want to protect their neighborhood or their city. So we're not traveling across country. We didn't go to DC because again, that's not what I designed it to do. At Oath Keepers, they came and asked me to send my group there. I'm like, no, that's not what we're here for. We're here to protect our community because when DC falls, you got to protect your community and each other. Otherwise, you're all going to fall. So that's what it's designed. It's like a neighborhood watch on crack. So, I mean, we got people that carry, some people that don't carry. There's medics. We had some law enforcement in there. But after January 6th, again, people got scared and they ran because they didn't want to be labeled and this and that. They label us as a militia. Again, we're not a militia. To me, it's more a humanitarian organization because we do help communities that get hit by tornadoes and fires and all that stuff. But when we go in and help, people figure out who we are. Literally, we had thousands of dollars of donations of materials for the big fire up in Boulder, and they didn't want none of it. The other organizations, they're like, no, they literally pushed us out. So we got storage of stuff that we're going to go to the families that were actually affected.
Okay.
So, but that's how you can find it. But that's what it is. I mean, we teach more riot control stuff than firing, maneuvering, and stuff that the militias teach.
Okay. Well, I think you're right, John. I think there's people that want to help, but they don't know what to do. And my recommendation to tell you, if you've got a desire, if you realize, like John and I have been talking, there's something jacked up and wrong in our country, you know it, and you don't know what to do about it, do a little bit of digging. Find out what you're passionate about. There's organizations, I promise you, that are already working in the area that you've got heart hurt about. Get involved. It doesn't matter what the involvement is, to knocking on doors, if it's helping with websites, if it's marching and doing some protests, if it's whatever it is that they're doing, you can do. Get involved and do it. Now, if you've got a heart to go burn down cities, you need to repent because that ain't it. That ain't the way. And I hope we never have to pick up a weapon in anger again. But one thing we've got to do, John, this is what we've talked about, is you got to be willing to risk it all. Because freedom, once it's taken away, we're never going to get it back. And we're going to say, oh, if only we had. I don't want to be an if only. I want to be, okay, I took a stand. This is what I did. And I hope you all will join us and do that. John Teague, thank you for joining me on this, man. I appreciate you. And we're going to do what we can do to shine a light on your organization as well.
I appreciate it, man.
You got it. Have a great one.
You too.
Are you there, Rocky?
He ran. He got scared.
He did. Hey, thank you, brother, for that. Hey, there he is.
Live for 1 second. We're still live, guys. I'm just going to end the stream here real quick.